Hey friends, today I'm doing another Thomas Sanders video. I've done his original song Yours, and I did his cover of the theme song for Over the Garden Wall that was kind of like an episode of his series Sanders Sides, which is a fantastic series on YouTube that I got into only a couple of months ago for the first time, and it's kind of hilarious because I'm like kicking in the door of a fandom that's like 8 years old and hasn't had a new proper episode in like I think over a year now maybe. And I'm just like, hey guys, who wants to talk about this series? And they're like, oh, I used to watch that in like high school, or I watched that growing up. Meanwhile, I'm like older than most of the fans. And I'm just like, but I want to talk about it now. Because right now it's making me feel better. Yeah, so part of the reason I'm doing this is because I have heard this song. I've heard the original. It's from a show called Central Park. It's a cartoon animated show called Central Park. Every time I try to say the title of the show, I almost say Punishment Park. That is incredibly different. That is a like really intense, political, insanely violent film from the 70s. For some reason, every time I'm about to say Central Park, I almost say Punishment Park. It's just so funny. I've seen the clip of that song out of context. I've never seen like an episode of the show Central Park. And then I have heard his cover on Spotify, and I sing it loudly in my car. And I'm having a lot of feelings about things. But I've never seen the video, and I hear that it's got excuse me. I hear that it's got like some kind of references to the sides in some way. It's not necessarily like connected to the series, but like if you are a fan of the series, you can enjoy it through that lens, and if you're not, then you can just enjoy it as it is. So yeah, there we go. It's a song that I like quite a bit, and for those who, if there are those who are my regular viewers, know that I've been having a little bit of a hard time lately, so it's nice to do a video for a song. It's a bit of a comfort song. I'm fine. Everyone's been very sweet in the comments for videos when I mentioned it, because I always just want to be, I'm probably like overstating if I'm not okay, simply because I'm always nervous people can tell when I mean, like, people usually can't. I'm pretty good at masking, but I'm still in my head. I'm like, oh, you know, if my thoughts are a little bbit sluggish, or if I always just, if I don't feel like I'm on top of my game, I just want people to know it. You know, it's just one of those times where I sit there and I'm like, I don't feel good. Things feel really bad. I look around and I'm trying to figure out what's wrong and what the cause is and what happened. And then I have to stop and realize, like, oh, well, I'm mentally ill. Like, oh, I have depression and anxiety, and sometimes they're just gonna come to hang out, and there doesn't have to be any core reason. That's just, unfortunately, my factory setting. It is what it is. And sometimes it's just not gonna be kind to me. But I do like to do these videos when I'm feeling that way, partially because I'm very open about how I'm feeling, and I think that others should be as well, if they're in a place where they're safe to be and comfortable with that. And also because it really gets my mind off of it, because it's not just like passively watching something, but I really need to like focus and really give all my energy into the thing I'm watching, because I'm analyzing it. So all that to say, hi guys. Yeah, let's do it. I know it says 5 minutes, but I think the last like 2 are a behind the scenes thing, which we're not going to watch. We're just going to watch the video itself. Yeah, there we go. For a minute, I thought that the audio wasn't on. Oops. Okay. I own like no pride. Sorry, seeing his pride flag. I own no pride flags. I have pride flags. I feel like when you first come out of the closet, they just like appear to you. Like suddenly you're just little goblins come out of nowhere to like hand you a pride flag and walk away. Because I remember when I was younger, I totally had some. And now as I've gotten older, I'm just like, I don't have any pride flags anywhere in my house. What's up with that? And I have no pride flags for my actual, like, if we're gonna get minute sexuality, I don't have any ace pride flags. I don't have any lesbian pride flags. Sorry, that was random. I was like, I gotta get some pride flags around here, up around here. My dad wants to get a giant one because he lives in Florida. So he wants to get a big ally one, just as an FU to his neighbors, which Thomas Sanders also lives in Florida, but he lives in a different part. He lives in like a college town, whereas my dad lives in not the best place if you're a super liberal like my dad. But anyway, all that to say, I need some pride flags up in my life.
Gotta be unique, but gotta blend in. Hide my inner geek and keep pretending. Gotta keep 'em laughing, though I'm only half-in. Gotta put a show until I know they like me. Gotta be aloof, make a good impression. Gotta hide the proof of myself.
I wonder if this is still, I love his chairs. Every time I watch Sandra Sides, I always want his couches. They look, I think my buddy had very similar couches in her parents' house, and I always loved them. I bet that the choreographer is Calypso again, who also did the choreography for Yours. And I really like her choreography. I feel like it really like tells a story and is really interesting. Thomas, I know in certain things has kind of made throwaway comments like dismissing his dance abilities, but I think he still has like, it's not like, my sister was a dancer before her chronic illness got too bad. So, like, I've watched a lot of dancing in my life. Obviously, it's not, like, crazy, but I think that he's got a lot of fluidity to his motions, and it tells a story. The kind of, when the face drops for only half in, when he says half, it almost feels like part of his body starts to collapse in a way, almost like his body's kind of giving out for a second before snapping back. That's really interesting. This whole song is very, I feel like, of course, personal to him, because talking about all the things you kind of have to be, or you feel that you have to be as someone who's like a content creator in the public eye, obviously has a lot added to it. But I feel like everyone kind of has that, whether it's just the kind of built-in feeling you have as someone who, whether it's someone like me who maybe deals with social anxiety and just kind of feels like everyone's watching, even if no one's watching, or if it's just, living our lives nowadays. There are cameras and things everywhere. And I have to imagine that being a content creator makes that way crazy. As I say, as I'm literally creating content, but like, I don't know, unless this is really, technically it is content. Yes, in the technical sense, I'm making content for a YouTube channel, but I'm just like, he's actually has effort, and he's like, writes things and puts in things. I've literally just babble while watching art. I don't think that's, technically it's content, but I'm, anyway, but it's still something that I constantly, am, nervous about, like, thinking about, as much, like, just I was talking about how I'm feeling right now. Like, I part of the reason I know that it's a good thing if I do one of these when I'm not feeling great is that I do have to pep myself up a little bit, because I have to be able to speak. Because a lot of times when I'm feeling not great, I don't talk for like hours at a time, days at a time. I don't say anything. So I know that if I do one of these videos, I gotta start talking, or else there's no content. The problem is, as someone with others maybe on the neurodivergent ADHD scale might know, that we have trouble with there's not a lot of middle ground we have between not talking and all the talking. But yeah, no, that was about Calypso. I think her choreography is very cool. It's like simple. It's not overly complicated, but it still tells a clear story. I really like that.
Like me, gotta be aloof, make a good impression. Gotta hide the proof of my self-expression. Never be revealing, gotta be appealing. Suddenly I'm feeling like I'm getting so small, breaking into little pieces, losing power, getting weaker. Gotta do whatever.
This is so clever. This is so clever. Okay, I love this. Okay, this is so great, because what it really allows, like, the two kinds of people watching this right now. Someone who, might be a fan of Thomas, but not into the sides, which this is the sides right here, the Sanders, the sides of his personality. They all have corresponding colors. So if you're a fan, you can look at these and know exactly who each one of them is. But if you don't know, it doesn't matter, because what you're seeing is the breaking into little pieces. It's all about the kind of parts of yourself you have to break apart to try to be all these different versions of yourself for different people in different situations, and how it just kind of breaks down because sometimes you just have to be able to be okay in certain situations, or just get by in certain situations. And so having him in the center there with the light on him and the kind of shine going out like that, what it is, it looks almost like a prism. When you like shine light into a prism and then it breaks out into all the different colors. Thank you, Magic School Bus. That's really what it looks like here. So if you don't know the sides, you're just seeing like Thomas in the middle, the light shining on him, all the versions of him in the back. If you do know the sides, it's so great, because yes, you know automatically with their color, but also, just these little simple poses are so much of like their personality right here in like the littlest way. Like we've got Roman here, who's passion and creativity, kind of very dramatic as always, hand up like that, which is like his usual setting. We've got poor Virgil over here, anxiety, kind of caved in on himself a little bit, sort of self-soothing, like holding himself. You have Logic here, my fave, slash Logan, who's you know, putting his hand up in the actual way, but also is a character who struggles sometimes for people to pay attention to him. So it's also like kind of a thing of like almost trying to get everyone's attention. Sweet little Patton over here, who's morality, but also just like emotion and empathy. And so his hands back like this make it feel like very like the opposite of, as I'm knocking things, the opposite of anxiety's body language. Is supposed to kind of closing in on himself and like protecting himself. It's completely wide open, for better or worse. Very emotion thing of just like completely open to anything, chest forward, heart forward, just like, let's go. We got over here, we got Janice, just my other favorite character, Deceit, who looks a bit mwahaha, looking a little bit evil, which he is sort of painted in that role as being the bad guy because he is a Deceit, but also self-preservation. And then we've got Remus here, who's dark creativity slash intrusive thoughts, who I don't know, he's choking himself or something. He's a little bit of a freak. I don't know what he's doing. He's choking himself. He's doing whatever he wants to do, because that's what Remus does. But that's just such a clever little setup. I like that a lot. That's very cool. All right.
Losing power, getting weaker. Gotta do whatever pleases till they let me in. So we try to be more.
Oh my god, I promise I'm gonna try not to do that, but so specific on who's talking, the losing power. There's always jokes about Logic being sort of like a robot, and he claims to have no emotion, which is a liar. Getting weaker for morality and emotion, of like kind of weakness, and then till they let me in, which is Deceit, who's kind of been this character we didn't know about in the series, who's kind of worked behind the scenes, so he's revealed himself to everyone. Is very cool. And it's also kind of always tempting Thomas to, part of him looks like a snake. It's kind of tempting Thomas to maybe do things he shouldn't. This is so cool. This is cool. I'll try not to stop every 3 seconds to be like, oh, it's cool this character did that, but like, I don't know. I'll do what I want.
Never pleases till they let me in. So we try to be more than enough. Trying to be strong and tough. Try to be something we're not. Try to fit a different plot. Proving we're bold without causing a fuss. We're trying so hard to be us. Will it ever be enough? Gotta be unique, but gotta blend in. Hide my inner geek and keep pretending. Gotta keep.
Oh, that's so, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm loving the outfits. Roman being the one to say trying to be strong and tough, when he's kind of always trying to be this prince, this knight, trying to do what's right and kind of in his mind failing. He's got a big inferiority complex. I think is great. Got just a little bit of dramatic color on Roman.
But gotta blend in. Hide my inner geek and keep.
I love that. We've got the like kind of, you know, looks like wires making him look synthetic, like an android. But also we've got Remus in green over here usually has this like ridiculous mustache. So having like the kind of just dirt like that, making it fashion is very cool. And then the
keep pretending. Gotta keep him laughing. Though I'm only half.
Oh, babe. I love that they gave this kind of gold look to Deceit, to Janice, because he usually half of his face usually covered in scales. So instead to kind of, he's got this shimmeriness, because there is like, he wears a lot of golds and blacks, and he is like the most kind of covered dressed wise, but he still has this kind of like luxurious look about him, but also the shimmeriness of his scales is very cool touch.
Gotta put a show until I know they like me, like me. But I know there's nobody like me. So we try to be more than enough. Trying to be strong and tough. Try to be something we're not. Try to fit a Proving we're bold without causing a fuss. We're trying too hard to be us.
I mean, I could just, like, this song breaks my heart in so many ways. I feel like any person who has ever just kind of not felt like they were, any part of them felt like they didn't belong, whether if it was, you know, because of anxiety reasons or because of maybe, you know, things like sexuality or gender, or really just you kind of felt like an outcast weirdo. That sort of desperation to hide yourself, and not even, and at a certain point, not knowing what you're supposed to hide and what you're not anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you start to, you kind of test out different parts of your personality, and based on reactions you get, you go, well, that's not fit for human consumption. But at a certain point, you might miss out on some, like I was a huge nerd, am a huge nerd. But I was a lot more like into fandoms when I was younger. I mean, whatever. I still am kind of. So like I used to be really embarrassed about the stuff that I loved, because I had been shown by my parents and by some friends that, like, yeah, if you like these things, you will be made fun of. Your parents will call you a giant geek and buy you things you would maybe actually like an action figure or something. But when you open it on Christmas, they'll laugh at you because it's a joke gift. And then you're deeply ashamed about the joke gift and you hide it under your bed. Anyway, it is a for instance that totally never actually happened. But then suddenly you meet people who might actually like those things too. But at that point, you're so shut down, you don't know which parts of yourself you're allowed to or okay or even are able to show anymore. Which is heartbreaking. It's you don't, and then you just kind of eventually those parts, if you hide them long enough and you crush them long enough, they don't go away, but it becomes numb. It becomes harder to access. And that's a very sad thing. I felt like that happened to me with my creativity a lot. I used to write constantly. And then for various reasons, I just kind of didn't want to anymore and kind of crushed that. And now I can't write to save my life. I just can't. And it's not a thing of like, oh, I simply can't. It's like, I just don't have any ideas really. Ooh. Heater time. I'll see you guys soon. And I'm back. I'm going to replay just a little bit because I knew there was something else I wanted to say and now I can't recall what it was.
Bit of different blood, proving we're bold without causing a fuss. We're trying.
That was it. That line, said earlier by, again, for this is talking as a Sanders Side fan, earlier by Anxiety, Virgil, now said by Logic, two very different kind of feelings of the same line, that proving we're bold without causing a fuss. And that line and those two deliveries, honestly, I relate to so deeply and are kind of two sides of me, which is really interesting to watch. Is like the first time it was proving we're bold, but the emphasis is more on the without causing a fuss, as in like he was kind of curled up like this and he was just sort of putting his arm out almost like he was afraid to reach out, sort of a thing. It was very like, I want to prove I'm bold, but I don't want to be noticed, and like that fear. Whereas when Logic says it here, the way he's moving and kind of like goes up like this, kind of goes like that, it's proving we're bold without causing a fuss, as in not as in like not causing a problem for anyone, more of just like, instead of fear of other people seeing you, it's this sort of fear of expressing yourself in a different way. Basically, he needs to be in complete control. Of just like, I can be in charge and not cause a fuss because I'm in charge of my own emotions, and doing so repressing everything, which relates back to the song. It's why I relate to that character a lot, honestly, because when I am in times when I struggle sometimes with, I kind of either feel everything or sort of nothing, and I struggle with the in-between. I think a lot of people with things like autism or ADHD sometimes struggle with the in-between parts. It's just kind of how our brains work, unfortunately. So sometimes it's fortunate, sometimes it's less. But like when I feel very, when I feel in control to a degree, I struggle with then being able to kind of, my version of knowing what's going on and being in charge of myself is also to be kind of emotionless and very just like goal oriented and not really able to stop and think about everything on like a real human level sometimes. My usual setting is the anxious part, the like, I just don't want to bother anyone. Is everyone okay? I just don't want to. But I definitely relate to that one too. I just thought it was so interesting to have those two lines said by two characters in completely different ways, but I just felt very strongly about both of them. Yeah.
Causing a fuss. We're trying too hard to be us. We're already more than enough. In a world where no one wears disguises, we would all be free. But
I didn't notice his little earring earlier. That's cute. I wish he wore more earrings. And isn't that so interesting? Because all of them, it's all Thomas, but they look like different people connected, which is so fascinating to me.
We would all be free. But being divided is what was decided, so that's how it has to be. But if we try to uncover what's real, I'm already strong and tough. Put down our armor and shield. Gotta fit the plot I got. And just remember you're never alone if the back that you've got is your own.
Fuck you for giving that line to anxiety. The I'm already strong and tough line. Don't make me have feelings right now. Too delicate. And the sort of look on Logic's face when something like, even when it was his own hand touching himself, just sort of like kind of not knowing what to do with human contact, even when it's his own. That shot is gorgeous too. Again, it's the backlighting, with just Thomas standing in the middle and all of them all pointed inward at him. That looks really gorgeous. So simple too. This must have been really, really like, as far as just like the space it was in and everything. I think who directed it was Quill, who they directed the Sanders Asides, the Into the Unknown. I keep wanting to say Into the Woods, different thing. Into the Unknown, the cover of the Over the Garden Wall. Wow, my brain today. I don't remember if they directed yours. I don't think so, but I don't recall. Yeah, really, really pretty.
Gotta be unique, gotta blend in. Hide my inner geek and keep pretending. Gotta keep them laughing, though I'm only half-in. Gotta put a show until I know they like me. No more trying too hard to be me. I'm already strong and tough. That's one thing it's...
This is the part I sing really loudly in my car. I was doing it the other day. So I'm just like, yeah, this is me half asleep, just like shouting this in my car. It's very funny.
That's one thing that's easy to be. Take the trying away and be free. 'Cause it's...
Isn't that great? That is the first time in the entire song they've all sung together. Yeah, all the sides were singing together at different times, but they never sang with Thomas. And the fact that that's the first time they take the trying away and be free is suddenly him and all the versions of him, every version of him in the same pose, doing the same choreography, just slightly lifting up. Suddenly, for the first time, he is all one person. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. That was great.
Thing that's easy to be. Take the trying away and be free. 'Cause it's their turn to try to see me.
That was really great. That was really, really great. I'm going to listen to that song totally different because I'm going to listen to it with all the different characters in mind. But I think that even if you like didn't know the characters, I think that video is still pretty impactful. I mean, honestly, so is the original Central Park version, and I don't know who the characters were. I've just seen that clip, and I was just like, this is giving me a lot of emotions. I don't even know who's talking. But yeah, I just kind of that popped up. I spun a few times on my wheel to see what I'm going to be reacting to. And I was technically supposed to do 2 more before this one, but I was just like, you know what? I need something that's going to be mildly comforting today. So I pulled out this one to do. Even if it's just kind of for my own enjoyment. I don't care. Whatever. My channel. Haha. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that was really great. I liked that a lot. Emotions. That's all I got. Emotions. Yeah. So thanks for joining me today, guys. And I thank you, everyone who was very sweet in comments or over on Ren's Patreon, who I reached out on there and was like, hey, I'm not doing great. If you want to give me some movies to watch. People were giving me some great recommendations for things just kind of watch to get out of my head today. And yeah, just everyone's lovely. Hope you'll have a lovely time. Bye, friends.